Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel webinar today for top performing skills for dental office managers in 2023. My name is Adam Sierra, and I'll be your moderator and host today. And today we're joined by two fantastic panelists who I'm so excited for you to meet. We're joined by Debbie Evans and Teresa Spence. How's it going, y'all?
Hey. Hello. It's going great.
Well, we've got quite a bit to cover, so we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. First, let's have Debbie and Teresa each give a quick 30-second bio on themselves about who they are and what they've done. Let's go ahead and start with you, Debbie, and then we'll go to Teresa.
Hey, everybody. I'm Debbie Evans. I'm the practice administrator and vice president of Wainwright and Wassel DDS in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been here almost 18 years, and I've been in dentistry over 30 years. And I'm also a past recipient of ADOM's Practice Administrator of the Year, along with Teresa. She'll tell you that too. And we have a very successful chapter of ADOM here in the Triangle area of North Carolina.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm Teresa Spence, and I am the practice administrator for Amelia Dental Group in Fernandina Beach, Florida. And I have been there for over 32 years, and I've been in dentistry for 35 plus years and love every minute of it. Like Debbie, I'm a past recipient of Practice Administrator of the Year 2021. And we also have a successful chapter of ADOM in Northeast Florida, which is right inside of Jacksonville, Florida. So, and I love all things ADOM, and look forward to this webinar today.
Love it. And we'd like to thank Weave for putting this together as well and bringing us all in the room today. And with that, we will go ahead and hop into the conversation. So, in 2023, this is a pretty dynamic and fast-paced and fast-changing environment. So what are you both seeing today are the biggest skills that are common in the top performing office managers? Let's kind of, let's start high level and we'll get a little bit lower level. Let's go ahead and start with you, Teresa, and then we'll go to Debbie.
This goes across with everything, but effective communication. I think you have to know how to communicate with your team, your patients, to know what's best for your patients, your community, and overall, because a lot is thrown at us every day, but knowing how to tunnel and communicate with what you're going at is a huge asset to have in your pocket when you are a high-performing office manager.
I agree with you too, Teresa. Yeah. Another one is like organizational skills. You really have to be an organized person. And like first thing I do every day when I come in, I have a calendar and I write my task list for the day. And it's like, I have to get these task lists done by the end of the day. That's no brainer. And then at the bottom, I put other little things that I'd like to do. But that's kind of like, I feel like that's an organizational skill that I use that really, really helps.
Love it. Awesome. Yeah, staying organized is definitely a best practice across the board, right? Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about patient experience. I know this is something that you're both really passionate about, and I've heard it described that the office manager is kind of at the heart of the office, right? And is really responsible for taking that practice and making it not only a great experience internally, but externally as well. So what are your thoughts on creating a great patient experience? And what are you both doing at your practices to make that happen?
I'll start out if you want me to on that one. We want our patients, when they walk in the door, we want them to feel like they're walking home, and they feel very comfortable when they come in their office, because we want them as lifelong patients, not just one and done. Come in, get their teeth clean, and leave. We want to keep them forever. And our motto is every patient's worth actually $50,000 if you think about it, because in a lifetime they'll spend $10,000. Okay, and then each person should recommend us 4 times, so that's another $40,000. So everybody, I tell my front desk, I said, everybody that walks in the door, just go ching ching, just because they walk in the door. And we're the Nordstroms of dentistry, and be as nice as you can and make them feel welcome. And also we make sure that we call them by name when they come in, because on their schedule there's pictures of everybody, and there's no excuse not to say, well, hello Sam, hello Sally, welcome to our practice. And that's something that I feel is very, very important with that.
I agree with that personal touch. And then not being, whenever you have that patient that walks in the door, from the time they walk in the door, from the time they're greeted, walk through to the back, when they're in the back, and when they leave, take the time to spend the time with the patient. And we have this motto as one patient at a time. You know, when you're in front of that one patient, be there with them. Let them know that they are number one, and you're not worried about the phones ringing, because there's other people to get that. But take the time to spend time with them when they're right in front of you, and make them feel like they're the Nordstrom, the Ritz-Carlton. I mean, you know, that's huge. And patients love it when you call them by their name, because we all know people want to go where you know their name. And that just makes everyone, makes everyone feel, you know, welcome. And it makes a huge difference. So I agree with you there.
And also the communication, again, we were talking about that earlier, but communication with your patients is utmost important, because as soon as they walk in the door, make sure, you say hello, greet them, make sure they're here for the right, what they're here for. And then the handoff to, like, let's say the hygienist goes in the back, and they have everything clear to them. I'm not being clear right now, I'm sorry. But anyway, and then the handoff to the front desk too. Just make sure everything's clear and concise and the communication is open. And let the patients also, answer their questions. Let them speak and answer all their questions. And use it, I mean, we as a business team, we try to not be so clinical. We try to be more just like the average Joe person and talk about how it really is, because the doctors and the assistants and that, they talk clinically and this and that. And then people are like, what are you talking about? But when we go over treatment plans and that, I bring it back to saying, this is what's actually going to happen.
Right. And I think
and Teresa, yeah, please.
With that patient experience, we've got to make sure that we have our team trained. So that's important to know, when you bring someone in new, so they understand the culture, know what our goals are when it comes to patient experience. And one thing, I'll hit on what Debbie said, was ask those patients, do you have any other questions? What are you thinking? How can I answer that? Because sometimes they don't even know how to get it started. But if you can just say, I understand how you're feeling, tell me more about it. And that leads into a whole nother experience, that you're really there, one patient at a time, listening to their concern, and you genuinely want to take care of that concern. So having your team trained.
Another thing about the patient experience, you sometimes I do this. I go out in the waiting room and I just sit and I look around and say, what are our patients looking at? And just, okay, they are. And then sometimes in my office, I sit there, I open the door always. And you know what I love to hear? I love to hear laughter. And when I hear laughter, I know that everything's going all right all around us. Because how often do you go into a dental office and you hear laughter, right? Yeah. Well, in my office, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear everybody comfortable, having a good time. And also, you make your surroundings comfortable, nice for your patients. Make sure there's nice music or a TV going. Make sure everything's clean. I mean, I look in corners too. I mean, I'm really picky about how clean this is. So just make them feel comfortable, clean, well taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. You both had some amazing thoughts there. I would love to go to your practices. And I even have a dentist that I work with on the business side that has an emotional support dog that is his personal dog, but he brings it in and it's certified and trained and works with patients that have anxiety, and they love it. So
guess what?
I love, 100%.
You
do?
Mm-hmm. She's
and so you both talk.
Yeah, he's 6 months old, and his name is Woody, and he's actually in the process of being trained right now. But he is here. I mean, he's here, and the patients love it.
I love that. I love that you both go the extra mile too. That's super cool. So moving on to our next topic, and I want to go kind of deep on this one because while we get a little bit more tactical about skills to help the office manager succeed, one of the biggest things that we hear is being a pro at time management. And talking with both of you, this is something where both of you really excel. There's a lot of tasks that you have to do. There's probably more to do than you could possibly get done in a day. How do you prioritize that? How do you manage your day, and how do you set up your day for success? Let's go ahead and start with Debbie, and then we'll go to Teresa. And obviously you guys can bounce back and forth with each other and share some thoughts. I want to spend some time on this one.
Well, I said a little bit earlier about planning ahead and putting your tasks down. That is very, very important. And then you might have bigger tasks or harder things. Maybe divide them in smaller increments so you know that you can get it done. Like you might have a big project that's coming up. Well, it's looming. You're sitting there going, oh my goodness, I have to get this done. So just divide it into stages or into increments and you'll get it done. Believe me. And what's the motto? If you want something done, give it to a busy person. I can't tell you how true that is. It is so true.
I agree with that. One of the things that I have found that has helped me with time management in my practice is, and this is across the practice, is to make sure that we have systems that are set up that work for us and us not scrambling working those systems. And those are simple things, and this does come with time management. But when everyone on the team and you know what needs to happen during a day, if there's systems and processes in place, that's just gonna automatically happen. You know, I walk in the morning, I know what I need to do. My insurance coordinator knows what she needs to do. So it's just kind of like having your systems work for you instead of you working and scrambling for them. And that saves a lot of time. And that kind of, you know, I look at this whenever I think about it. Why would I spend time calling to confirm appointments when we have, you know, software like Weave that does that for us? That's a system that we have in place that allows us to spend more time one-on-one with our patients because that system is working for us and we know it. The communication, again, comes up, but those systems, they work for you instead of us scrambling working for them. And when you scramble, that's usually when we drop the ball, miss the point, the patient experience suffers. So when we have systems in place, we hold to them. I think a lot of things happen without us even knowing it happens because everybody's in tune.
I'm going to tell you what, the best thing, and I mean it, Teresa and I have been in dentistry a long time, and we know a lot of things have come, you know, all the new fads, new anything, but I'm going to tell you the biggest game changer for us was Weave,
Yes. Text
messaging to your patients. In fact, I had a new hygienist start yesterday. She downloaded the Weave app, and I told her, you know, go look at the schedule. You can, you know, her mouth dropped open. She couldn't believe it. I'm like, even if your patient leaves and you forgot you wanted to tell them something, you can, from your phone, you can just send them a quick message and they'll get it. And it looks like it's coming from our office phone number. It's not coming from your personal phone number. But the text messaging and also the text to pay. I mean, another one, game changer. We're getting let me tell you, we started that a couple months ago. I'm probably lagging behind most people, but anyway, we started it because we were sending notices out, you know, statements out every month. I was sending like 325 statements out a month. We're a large practice. We have 4 dentists, so we're pretty big. So is Teresa. But anyway, the next month we only sent out 92 statements. So I can tell a big difference in text to pay too. So
100%. And I looks like I've got a question coming in from Martha. Thank you, Martha, for asking. And we definitely want this to be a super interactive session. She asked, how many front office team members do y'all have?
I have 6 and a couple work from home, part-timers.
So I have 9. We are a 4.5 doctor practice with 9 hygienists running. And so we are pretty organized out. So I do have a hygiene team. I have a restorative team with treatment coordinators. I have a new patient coordinator, insurance coordinator. But you can still have these systems in place with having only 3 of you in the front office, because that's where we started. There was just 3 of us. And as we grew, we grew with our systems, or our systems grew with us. So I know we're big offices, but I started small in this office and we grew. It can happen. It can work.
Yeah, 100%. When I'm seeing in the chat too, I'm seeing some people with 1 team member and I'm seeing some people with 4 team members. Y'all have pretty large teams as well. Looking back to when you were smaller, what do you wish you knew then that you know now that you have a larger team and, you know, a little bit more experience?
I wish
your confirmations. Oh my goodness. I mean, think about all the time you're spending on the phone.
I mean, that I wish we would have had Weave back then. Just that, I mean, but I guess technology wasn't really all that then. But just think how much time is saved by not picking up the phone and having to call and talk to everyone, which I'm not opposed to doing that because it's all about a relationship with your patients. But the way our world is today, the patients want that just as much. They'd rather text and not talk to you versus talking to you. So that's what I wish I would have had. And I wish I would have had ADOM early on.
Me too. You could save that patient experience for when they actually walk in the door.
Yes.
And they're going to call and make an appointment, and right there on the phone, you're going to start that conversation with them and their experience right there. But the texting confirmations, oh my gosh, that does save a heck of a lot of time, especially if you're just you have one person up front. Hey, I did that when I first started. I did it for 11 years. I was the only person up front. We ended for 11 years. I did everything. So I understand where you're coming from, where everybody's coming from.
Yeah, 100%. And, I'm even seeing a really good question coming in from Jamila, I believe it is. My apologies if I mispronounced that. Asking, what if there's only one or two and you juggle both front desk and office manager? Teresa, I know that you've got a lot of experience in this realm. So let's start with Teresa and then we'll hear from Debbie. What are your thoughts on that?
What was the question again? How do I?
Yeah. So what if there's only one or two of you and you're juggling both front desk and office manager?
Okay. So that's where, I'm a big systems girl. If you have systems in place and they're working for you, and, we always say, keep it simple. Sometimes I think we make things more difficult than they need to be. And we want to be the Cadillac of this or that when we just keep it simple and keep to what really needs to be done. And you're kind of juggling front to back. Those systems will help you kind of figure that out. And it's kind of hard to answer that question without knowing what your hiccup is. But put some systems in place and say, on this day, I'm going to work on this. On this day, I'll do this. And then this hour, this. That's the way I kind of run things. Like I'm going to give myself 2 hours to take care of this. And then, but if you're running back to front, you might need to get some help.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But put some systems in place to help you kind of manage that time from the front to the back and who's doing what. Because I know a lot of people that do that. And they have systems in place and it works for them. They're able to balance that front to back load.
It's a timing issue too. It's all timing on, I did the same thing. I ran the office and I was the only person up front, and people walk in, and the most important person to me or people are patients. They're more important than anything. So I take care of them first before I, send a statement out or I have to do this. I take care of them because the patients are everything. That's what I would say.
100%. Well, those are excellent thoughts. Thank you. Teresa, do you have something you want to add to that?
No, I was just going to agree with Deb. And one thing that I have run into recently is sometimes if you're allowed to stay late, that's when you can stay an extra 30 minutes when there's no patients, there's no phones ringing, and get some of that paperwork done. Send those statements, send those claims, get that stuff done, and it'll go faster than you think it will if you just had an extra 30 minutes at the end of your day. Or, not that I want you to miss lunch or anything, but 15, 20 minutes into your lunchtime could help save you, time management as well.
Or if your office is not closed on Fridays, come in for a few hours while your office is closed, because no one is there to distract you. Not the phone, not the doctors, not the patients, nothing. I can't believe how much work I get done in 2 hours when I come in here when no one's here. When my daughter's waiting. Hi.
100%. Well, those are fantastic thoughts. Thank you. And we have a really good comment from Sophia. Sophia's saying there is one front-end member, I think she's talking about her team, who handles the phones, insurances, financial coordinator, scheduling, etc. And it's become a bit stressful at times. Really good color there. Thank you, Sophia. We have a really good question from Ryan White that I wanted to address. Ryan's asking, how do you manage part-time work from home employees? I think, Debbie, Debbie, you mentioned that one. So let's go ahead and start with you. And then Teresa, if you have any thoughts as well.
Well, actually, you can manage them by seeing what they're doing. I mean, I know exactly. We have two that work part-time from home, and they've been longtime employees, and just things have come up with their children and things like that. Like one just had a baby. We're letting her work from home, but we let them like do insurance problems with that. She gets in and we have them remotely log in, and I know what they're doing. I can see. And then they write down everything they do and what they've done that day, and it works out really good. I can honestly say that I see what they do. And I trust them because they've been longtime employees too.
We don't have any remote workers, but I could see how it could be beneficial. They're probably more productive being at home if they're working on like insurance. The interruptions through the day in the dental office play a big part in interrupting your day. And if you're sitting at home and you're able to work for 2 to 3 hours or 4 hours and get it done, I think that's a win-win.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and we've also recently added the soft phones feature, which allows the staff members to have on their computer a full functioning phone system that works remotely from anywhere they're at in the US and Canada. And that's been a real game changer for our offices that have remote workers on staff. So if anyone here has any questions about that, maybe they're currently using Weave, feel free to reach out to us and we'd be glad to help you. That's a relatively new thing that a lot of people may not be aware of, and we'd be super glad to help you out. It's included in everyone's package that's using phones. So super great.
That one. Yeah.
Well, and yeah, Debbie and Teresa and I have a fantastic relationship, so we'll be talking afterwards for sure. Okay, so I've got a really good question coming in from Stacy. So Stacy's asking, how do you handle transitioning roles and tasks with a veteran front office and a new member? That is a brilliant question. Let's go ahead and start with Teresa on that one and then go to Debbie.
So whenever we bring in a new team member and I have a veteran team member, we do not put that person in their role right away. We have that person shadow everyone in the front office, and we kind of float through. In between floating through, I mean, and it's a good 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Sometimes they get bored and they're like, oh, I'm ready to get to work. We'll break it up into half days. But in between all that, I'm asking questions to that employee, the new employee, and then just making sure they don't have any questions. But and then once they've done that, we team them up with someone and that's their go-to person, or they can go to anyone. And for our office, we really respect one another's position. We all are trained to do it, but we know that at the end of the day, we're responsible for XYZ. Because if any one team member tries to do everything, we know you don't get anything done. And ours have worked when we bring them in like that, and our seasoned ones have been on board and they've done an excellent job at training.
Well, I hate to say this, but Teresa, we do the exact same thing. So we bring, in fact, I've just hired a new one now, and somebody's here and she's shadowing and she's going around to everybody, and then we assign her to one veteran and then we let them do it. We actually let them during that 2 weeks span, they sit there in the chair and we'll let them make a phone call, and new patient phone call. That's probably one of the last things you do is let them do a new patient phone call, but you just, make an appointment. And then I always tell people, listen, if you can't do it, just say, you can't answer that question when you answer the phone, just say, if you don't mind, please hold. I'm going to find that answer out for you. I'll be right back with you, because you don't know everything. You're going to have to find the answer somewhere.
And that's just with that is making that new hire feel comfortable enough to know there's not any crazy questions out there. I would rather you ask me and we learn together than you not ask me, because I always tell my team, you can try and hide something or you can try and cover something up. I learned personally from my young years that you can't hide anything. You can't cover anything up. It's going to come to the surface. And a great thing about Weave too is the phones are recorded, and I get the lucky job of listening to those sometimes. And that's huge. And what's nice about that recording is I can sit down, and they all know we record them. It's a huge learning experience. And I've sat there and we've listened to phone calls that have been taken that should have been handled this way. And then we've listened to phone calls that should have been handled this way. That's a very good tool to use. And it's not to get anyone in trouble. It's all to learn and grow and be better than we were the day before. And that's one thing I always keep in mind is we can all be better than we were the day before, but you got to be willing to.
And another thing our business team does right in front of them, and it's kind of old school, but it works, pad and paper. They have a notepad in front of them, and every single phone call that comes in, they write the patient's name. They'll just write them down, and if something needs to be done, they make a little box beside it, and so they can go back to and get it done. But that's their task list. They answer the phone, they put down everything on a piece of paper and they go for it and then write notes in the chart. But I mean, I can't, you're like, who was that called again? You might write it on a quick little piece of paper. This is like, it's right in front of you, and they do it daily logs like.
Yes, we have that as well.
Yeah.
It's huge.
That was some powerful advice there, and really, really great wisdom from both of you. Thank you for sharing that with everyone. And I can see some really great responses in the comments too. Sarah said that they have someone who works 15 to 20 hours every 2 weeks that only works on EFTs, and it's so helpful. And a couple people thumbs up that. Anita says, that's great, Teresa. So thank you again, Teresa, for your fantastic advice. And Sarah is saying, yes, I make my front desk girls keep a notepad next to them at all times. So I think there's really, really good advice being shared. We're unfortunately coming towards the end. I feel like this went by so quick. We could probably talk for hours, but I know we all have to move on with our days. If you wouldn't mind, both of you, let's just have a quick closing statement, kind of wrapping up your thoughts on this really important topic on the top skills for office managers in 2023. Let's go ahead and start with you, Debbie, and then we'll close out with Teresa.
Okay, my big thing are tasks for the day. I mean, like I said before, and also you need to be organized. You need to be a team player. You need to listen and communicate correctly. My big thing is team unity, team culture. I think that is the best thing in making sure everyone is happy at their job. And if they like their job, your patients know it. And if the patients are happy, then you have a successful practice.
I agree. Mine would be, and I'm all about my team, but I'm also about empowering my team. So thank you, Adam, for putting this out there, because a lot of times, a lot of office managers think they're out there by themselves and they're trying to figure out what to, how to, where to go. And we really don't have to reinvent the wheel of being a great office manager if we just rely on like-minded people that are out there in our circles. And we have Weave circles, we have ADOM. And if you're not a part of ADOM, I strongly recommend you being a part of that. That would have been a huge game changer for me back in the day. And self-invest, take that extra 20 minutes or 30 minutes on the weekends or in the evenings to do something like this or re-listen to something, because you're going to pick up little pearls along the way that will help you be the best that you can be for yourself, but for your team, your patients, and your community. And I always say that because that is so true. I want to be good for myself, but I can't be good for myself. I have to be good for myself in order to be good for my team and our patients and our community. So that's what I leave you with.
100%.
And I'm going to concur about ADOM with what Teresa said. I went to my first conference in 2014. I walked in and I immediately felt like I was at home. It's like you found your tribe and you're around like-minded individuals, and it empowers you, like Teresa said.
It does. And, I work with a couple offices offsite. I mean, like my daughter, I got her job in dental, and she's like, what do I do? And watching them kind of walk through, because I didn't even know about ADOM, and watching them walk through trying to put processes into place. And, I introduced her to ADOM, and it has just been like a light bulb that has come off, because why spin your wheels when they've already been spent and you can pick up, we share everything.
Yep.
Because there's enough dentistry to go around. There's enough teeth that need to be fixed, but you can only do so much as far as office management. We have to pull together to help one another, to empower one another, and inspire one another to be the best that we can be.
Amen.
100%. Now, great advice, and thank you both for that. Sophia's asking, will there be a playback of this session? Yes, that'll be accessible via email that you signed up with. We should be sending that out here soon. Great question. Jamila asks, can we do another webinar solely on that team unity / culture and inclusivity? It's funny because the three of us were talking before this and we were saying we should do a webinar just on one of these topics. And I told Debbie and Teresa to keep their microphones warm because we're doing one of these again. You know, I oversee our community efforts here at Weave, and these conversations are very important to us. It's really important for us to get not only Weave customers, but everybody in the market and everybody in this very important industry in the room together to be able to share these tips and help each other and build each other and root for each other. So 100%, Jamila, we'll start putting that together, and hopefully you'll see an invite for that soon. Couple other comments here. Janine, ADOM is the American Association of Dental Office Managers. It's a fantastic organization that we partner with here at Weave. I'll go ahead and, if you don't mind, pass your info to Debbie and Teresa, and I'm sure they'd love to reach out to you and tell you a little bit more. And Kat, I'm seeing echo on that webinar for unity and team culture. With that, we are out of time right now. I would like to thank my dear friends, people that I respect and very much enjoy seeing every time that I get to, Miss Debbie Evans and Miss Teresa Spence. And I'd like to thank each of you for attending this conversation today. Until the next time, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.